Hello and thank you for joining me. I'm Heather Forgan of stampwithnellie.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in the UK. Today I'm making a few of these boxes, so I thought I would share the process with you. In a recent video for this project, I used this little bit of ribbon to open the box, so this is a resized version of that. But I have made it slightly differently, and with this one the tabs were on the side there and they tuck in, but I did find that sometimes it kind of went down a bit too far, so for this one I've altered the design so that the side tabs come in that way and that pops in like that. Every issue has a solution. So I'm making these for craft fairs, and I have used Smoky Slate card and this designer series paper is from this magnificent pack called Winter Meadow. Okay, so Smoky Slate is one of the colours in there. I've actually used two designs from the paper, and that's the main one. That's all I've got left for now. And because of the way I wanted this box to look, I did want to have something on the top of the lid as well, but there really wasn't. I was going to sacrifice too much of this to use this paper, so the solution is to use a different design that has just similar design at the top there. Okay, so as I say, my process for this was to just redesign this box here with different sizes. So I tend to start off with a sketch, and I'm not going to lie, they don't often look as neat as this. In fact, they never look as neat as this. But I wanted this box to be 2 inches by 2 inches by 6 inches. So I kind of just drew it out on this. You could do it on your grid pad. And so I know that I've got 2, 2, 2, 2 for the sides, and then I needed a bit for the join. And then I've got 2, 6, and I've got 2 for the top, and then I needed a bit for that bit to tuck in, so I've got half. So 2 and 6 and 2 and a half equals 10 and a half. 2, 2, 2, 2 and a half equals 8 and a half. Now I'm using A4 cardstock, which does not measure 8 and a half there. It's roughly 8 1/4. So mine actually has a really skinny tab at the side there, but if you're using US cardstock, stick with a 1/2 inch, gives you a better tab to glue. But I'm all about making the most of what we've got, and I don't tend to use 12 by 12, so I'm sticking with 8 1/4 by 10 and a half. Okay, so let me bring in my trimmer. As I say, I'm not going to cut in that direction. I just want to cut this down to 10 and a half. So nice and simple. There we go. And I'm saving this piece that I've just cut off for my decoration, for the sentiment. Okay, so that's where that bit will come from. I could do my scoring on there, but because I am mass producing these, I'm doing all of my cutting first and then all of my scoring. Okay, so I want to score. Where is my scoring thingy? Oh, there it is. Right, so as I said, this is 8 1/4, full width of A4. So I'm just starting and doing my 2, 4, 6 and 8. Okay, and then I want to turn that around and do 2 inches for the bottom and then 8 inches, so I've got that 6 inches in there, and then another 2 inches takes me to 10 inches along there, and that's my scoring done. Now I want to burnish all of these score lines with my bone folder. Okay. Just to burnish it that way. Okay, so I have that lip for the lid of the box at the top here. I want to cut straight up all 4 of those score lines to that bottom score there. Okay, so straight up those. Including that one there, taking off that skinny panel, and just take a little wedge at the corner there. Now, at the top, I want to cut down the score lines, not just to the first horizontal, but to the second one. Okay, so again, I'm doing all of them, including that skinny one. And with the skinny one, just take a little nick out there as well. Okay, straight down. Kind of difficult to see score lines on some colours of card and with this amount of shadow, but if I don't have lights you won't see anything, and unfortunately my lights create shadows. Okay, so I know that I've got my little tab here and it's going to go around like that, and this is going to be my lid. Okay, so I've got lid, side, front, side. I don't need anything at all at the front, so tuck those all the way and then just cut that right off along there. All right, you can save that bit for something. All right, for the sides I want to have that cut down a bit, because if I was to fold it like that, then you'd have all of that going over and all of that going over, and it's just too bulky. So just under halfway, just chop that straight across. You could measure it if you wanted to. I can't be bothered. And again, you could use how much you've cut off that one as a guide to make sure that your tabs are the same, if you feel the need to. Right, so we need to do a little bit of wedging. So I finished with my big scissors, I'll bring in my little ones now. We'll do the top first, why not? Little slither off each of those side tabs. And again, it's just so that it helps it fold in a little bit easier, less bulk when it all goes together. Yeah. And then on this one, you want to take just the tiniest little wedge off either side of that. If you don't take a wedge off, it's difficult to fit that bit in. But if you take too big a wedge off, it doesn't tend to sit in very well. So go easy on your wedge there, your top. So that's the top all done. We now look like that. Back down to the bottom, we know that this is going to be the bit that folds over last. Now, as I mentioned, I am making these for craft fairs, so I am using the Stampin' Up copyright in accordance with the Angel policy. Now, this is the May 23 to April 24 annual catalogue, and you'll find the Angel policy on page 117. And this Stamped with Love stamp set has a copyright stamp in it, as well as all these lovely images. You can find out more information about Stampin' Up's Angel policy at stampinup.uk/angel-policy. Okay. Oops. So, to comply, I have a very old copyright stamp, not from that particular set, but anyone will do. And I'm just going to pop that. I tend to do tone on tone, so that was Smoky Slate, and it's on the base, so it's there to comply with the Angel policy, but it is not in your face. Okay, so someone mentioned Angel policy in a comment recently, so I thought I would just cover that in this tutorial as well. So I have 4 pieces of the Winter Meadow Designer Series paper that I've already cut to 1 3/4 inches by 5 3/4, and I'm just going to go ahead and glue those on. Not with that glue bottle, it felt empty. So if you're making along, just pause while you do this, because I'm going to fast forward this bit. Okay, so I've got my Designer Series paper on there, and I need to decorate the lid piece. Okay, now I have, as I mentioned earlier, put on a little loop of ribbon. So this is approximately 2 inches long. I'm going to put a little bit of tearing tape on there. Use my Take Your Pick tool to take that backing off. I can place one end of my ribbon on there, and then basically just bring that loop. Make sure that you've got enough on there for someone to grab. And belt and braces, I'm going to add another little bit of tearing tape over the top, like that. Okay. And again, take the backing off. Then using my wet glue on my other piece of Designer Series paper, that's 1 3/4 by 1 3/4. I'm going to pop that over that ribbon there. like so. I'm going to use my bone folder to give that a good press. Okay, so we've got a couple of bits of tearing tape and some glue on there because it needs that little bit extra strength because it's going to be used. All right, so that's most of the decoration done. Bring this one back in. I also want to put a little bit on here. When we trimmed our A4 piece down, we had this left over, and that's what I'm using for my sentiment. And again, I'm using Smoky Slate, and this time the greeting is from Sparkling Snowflakes, this Winter Greetings one there, and I'm also using this stamp to add a little bit more detail. So inking that up, and I want to stamp that. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer to myself, right on the edge there in the middle, kind of straight would be good. Okay, now I have my trusty little Stampin' Up guillotine that was a joining offer and available to demonstrators a while back, and I've not got that quite as close as I want, so this is the best tool for just shaving the tiniest little margins off. Now that's tiny. Okay, and I want to cut this right at the tail of that S as well. Okay, then I have a piece of white card. Oh no, let's stamp this first. Smoky Slate. Get as much of this on as you can in that one corner, because the rest you can only do little bits. Okay. This piece of card is 1 3/4 inches along the top there. So my super trimmed right to the edge piece there just fits in nicely. Add glue to that. This is way longer than it needs to be, but I find it easier to do the trimming of this piece, then line it up to have equal margins, those 3 sides, and then either use your trimmer again or be brave and use a pair of scissors to just trim that off with a small margin. Yep, like that. Okay, so bring that back. The other bit of decoration I did was to add some of this gorgeous Simply Elegant trim. It comes in a pack with both silver and gold. Obviously goes beautifully with this silver edged ribbon. So again, I'm using tearing tape. I'm going to put a bit on the back of my sentiment. And take the backing off of that again. And I can find my take your pick tool buried under my desk. Oh, maybe I'll just use the edge of my scissors. There we go. And then some loops of this. Totally up to you how many you want to add, whether you want to be extravagant with it or not. I like to give it a little twist, and then you can pop that down on there, kind of arrange it as you like it. Got a nice long loop there, and we'll keep my tails in, and then keep that in place with yet another bit of tearing tape over the top there. Just make sure you're happy with how that's gonna look. So once it's on, it's done. And then I do it that way so that I can now see where is good for me to put my dimensionals. Okay, so I'm clearing that corner. And there. And there. And what I might do is push that over by plonking that one there. Okay, take the backings off these. And then this is our front panel that doesn't have that bit there, so that's where it's getting the decoration. Okay. Pop that on. And then my other bit of decoration was some of these silver festive petals. I am nearly out of the silver. I'll need to start using gold. And the cherry cobbler and green ones. Okay, so that is all of the decoration done, and the reason I've done it this way is because I've got a few to make, and I can get them to this stage and put them to the side, and they take up less space than the completed boxes. The other thing I can do is just glue the tab and put that in place and store them like that. Okay, I can't remember which one was which. I think this was the one we've just made. Yeah. Okay, so I will complete this one though, so you can see what to do. Glue along that skinny tab there. Fold that over, and it joins up nice and neatly along there. Give that a good press, especially if you've just used A4 card and you've only got a small tab there. Okay, last but not least, let's do the base. And I'm folding in that one and that one, and I've just thought I forgot to do a little bit of cutting, so on the sides you can take a little wedge off. Trying to cover too much about bulk making and angel policies, and forgot to do some of the bits. It's not absolutely essential anyway, just makes it a little bit less bulky at the joins. Okay, so folding in the two sides, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there just to hold that one in place, and then I'm going to put some glue on the back and fold that forward. And this is the bit everyone's going to see if they turn it upside down. So that was the front piece moved forward. So you can see I've got little overhangy bits here, probably because I didn't chop those sides properly, but that's fine. In goes my hand cream or gift of choice. Those fit over there nice and neatly, and then that tucks in there just to keep it all in place. And that's it done. So I've got two completed and a few extra ready to finish nearer the date of my craft fair. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, I'd love for you to click on that subscribe button. Take a look at some of my other videos too while you're here. Until the next time, do take care. Bye bye.